Hello, Galaxy! I'm Chris Perillo here for another Star Wars Radar live video. Thank you for subscribing, for turning on notifications, for interacting, leaving comments, asking questions, etc., etc., etc. Today, I thought that instead of, fleshing out my own thoughts around a particular topic, I dive deeper into a thread that I happened upon from a friend, Johnny Worthington. I'd consider him a friend, a fellow Star Wars fan, another adult fan of Lego, probably a bigger Lego fan than me. He's got an amazing Lego Star Wars collection, and maybe he'd be inclined to share that photo again in social, and I could reshare it. I don't know if Johnny found out that we also happen to have an open Discord chat server that he'd be able to join, but you can join it as well. So this thread happened on Twitter. It started from Adam Bray, and Adam, if you're not aware, is an author of a great many Star Wars titles, as a matter of fact. So when he puts anything out there about Star Wars, I tend to, kind of sit up and watch, or at least listen. However, it was Johnny's response to Adam's original post that I thought was interesting to talk about. So Adam posted originally, "So is anyone out there discussing how The Last Jedi might change the meaning of balance of the Force, and what the prophecy of the Chosen One means within Star Wars? Seems a lot harder," Adam suggests, "now to explain this as anything that is fulfilled in Return of the Jedi, no?" So that's when Johnny replied. And I actually, I am right there with Johnny in terms of the way that he's thinking with this. And Johnny says it's simple. The Force itself manifested the Chosen One to bring balance to the Force by destroying its corruptors, both the Jedi and the Sith. Return of the Jedi saw that balance returned. Only when Luke thought to start training was things thrown back into the imbalance, hence Rey. So effectively, it could have been Anakin as the Chosen One to bring balance to the Force. It could have been Luke to have brought balance back to the Force. It could have been Rey that has now come back as another Chosen One to bring balance to the Force. It's just interesting to consider that as a relatively new perspective. Johnny continues as a reply to somebody else. "It's incorrect to equate the existence of Force-sensitive beings or past and current users of the Force users as the quote-unquote Jedi." Johnny continues, "The Jedi Order, essentially the Temple on Coruscant, made waves. Big waves. Their hubris and use of the Force as a policing tool were tsunamis. And never has this been more apparent than if you have seen The Last Jedi and then go back and watch the prequels." It's interesting. So my daughter Jedi asked to watch Revenge of the Sith today, so I was watching it again. I'm like, wow, this is really eerie watching the prequels again. The prequels actually have more rewatch value now than they did before. If you've seen The Last Jedi, I swear, you just trust me on this. You need to go back and watch the prequels. You need to. Especially Revenge of the Sith. Even if you didn't like it. Certain things start lining up in a different way. Johnny continues, "Just as it was with the Sith. The Chosen One destroyed the temple first, then the Sith. A body of water will always have ripples and tides, just like the Force. The occasional use of the Force, or mild use of it, is a ripple. Not an issue. Even Jedi-trained beings can use it. While Luke was a quote-unquote Jedi, he was not a traditionally trained one. The culture, the apprenticeship, the hardcore philosophy, all the things that ultimately blinded the Jedi Order. Really, they bound them as well. When Luke tried to train the next batch, the Force potentially was feeling unbalanced. While Ahsoka, Kanan, Ezra, etc. were Jedi, they rejected the traditional culture. They were awake to the shortcomings. I'd say Ahsoka more than most. The Force allows beings to move and manipulate it. It's cool with it. When you start worshipping it like a cult and wielding it, well, Chosen One time. One last thing. Like Luke said, the Force does not belong to the Jedi or the Sith. It is hubris to think that they are its sole custodians. That's the true narrative of the prequels. Hubris and arrogance getting its ass kicked." And I'm just like, whoa! That was spot on, Johnny, and like I said, it adds up. It's not just seeing it, and remembering what you remember the Force being in the original trilogy, for example, and trying to set aside the way that the Force was effectively, positioned in the prequels. The Last Jedi, specifically Luke's position in The Last Jedi, more so than Rey's, really, it causes a great deal of churn with what we had previously known of the Force and the Jedi. And I think this is what's unsettling to a lot of traditional Star Wars fans. They don't want to hear that. But if you hear what Luke's saying in The Last Jedi, and you really start to pay attention to the subtext of The Force Awakens, why is it awaking? Why waking up? Why is it awaking? Why is Rey important? And what's going on here? When you go back after watching The Last Jedi and watch the prequels, even if you feel you have to suffer through them, I would say if you only watched one, Revenge of the Sith, but really, truthfully, The Phantom Menace, Attack of the Clones, and Revenge of the Sith, to get the full picture of what was going on, I think you could better appreciate Luke's position in The Last Jedi, especially if you don't, appreciate Luke's position in The Last Jedi, and you don't appreciate the prequels. And there's actually another thread that I want to dive into tomorrow. I know I'm doing it on the weekend here, New Year's weekend. But there's another Twitter thread that I plan on covering where someone was basically saying, and I agree with the person, that The Last Jedi helps make greater sense of the prequels. I'm not going to go as far as to say that The Last Jedi and this the sequel trilogy, really, it redeems the prequels in every way, but I tell you what, it makes it a heck of a lot more interesting, that's for sure. I'm going to sip some of my crate water. You can see the red liquid inside, that's actually tea. In a white mug, a Stormtrooper mug. Not the collectible I was planning on showing off initially here. No, instead, I was going to tell you that I popped into a grocery store and got the Resistance Ski Speeder car ship for $1.50. $1.50. Woo! I think now there are 2 more car ships I've got to find in some more traditional Hot Wheels styled vehicles as a part of a new series. I probably could have opened that in a better way. Sometimes I hold on to the cards, if only so that my daughter has something to look at and something to play with. I like the fact that they're putting these checklists in with some of their more recent vehicles. I've not yet seen the A-Wing Fighter car ship right there. Not yet seen that one. Seen the other ones. Fairly confident. I also not seen the Rebel Snow Speeder or the Ghost or the Jedi Starfighter, I guess. Those, or the N1 Starfighter. An Imperial Shuttle is going to be released soon, so it looks like there's a ton of new car ships set to be released in the coming months, weeks. Who knows when the next stuff is going to be released. What's the point of getting toys if you can't take them out of the package and have fun with them, right? These are fun. I really adore these vehicles. Because I remember growing up and not having them and kind of wishing I had Star Wars Hot Wheels. So the fact that I could have Star Wars Hot Wheels now, even better. And last night, speaking of crate, in the ski speeder, the Resistance Ski Speeder, I happened to read the comic that was just released Wednesday, which seems to be a standalone issue where Leia and the crew go off to Crate. So I got a little backstory on Crate. I don't know if that would have been the first time that Leia had been to Crate, but certainly she had been there before the time she went in The Last Jedi. I also picked up, now this was I don't think this was on sale, but this is one that I have not yet opened. The Combat Assault Tank from Rogue One, to my knowledge. I wish I could just rip into this, but then I feel bad because I don't hold on to the card, I probably should stop feeling bad about opening these things. Dropping this checklist. I know, I'm tearing into 2 things today. Imagine that. Now, this stand, interestingly enough, reminds me of the speeder bike stand that they just released. There's no prong that connects to it. It simply attaches directly to the base of the properly aligned hover tank. If I can properly align it. Come on, Chris. There you go. Not like you need a stand necessarily, but there's the hover tank. right there. If you knew, or if you didn't know, that was a vehicle. I also happen to have, I'm not done yet. Oh, no. When I go out looking for sales on toys, I find them. This is the Chirrut and Baze double pack. I know a lot of fans of Rogue One were waiting for this. Now, you would imagine, and I'm probably going to destroy this box, that these would be the same figures as we'd seen before. I haven't shown them side by side because I have not opened them yet, up until now. We also have some instructions. No checklist, though. I don't think Hasbro really connects any checklists. But what's nice about these particular figures is, whoa, the Baze figures comes with his backpack attached here. I'll get his gun connected soon enough. You've got the Force Link capability with these figures. So these are definitely different, if not by sculpt, then certainly by features. So you could effectively hold on to the character and do all sorts of moving around, specifically with the Force Link band. I do have one, and I swear the next time I open one of these figures, I'm going to have it in my hand or on my hand, and we'll play around with them, because that's kind of the fun of these figures. I just got the batteries put in last night. I've been moving slow. I've been trying to get through stuff here. So, I'm very happy to have picked up these figures. My Baze and my Chirruts. I also need to watch Rogue One again, even though I watched it the other day. Can't watch it too frequently, right? You're not going to wear out the digital tape. Unless you can. Gosh, I hope not. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. I do appreciate it. As I mentioned, we do happen to have the Discord chat server, which you are more than welcome to join. Links in the video description. I assume you're following us on Twitter, because that is pretty much the bulk of where our community resides. I posted a picture of my daughter, Jedi, with this little tongue candy that I picked up for a stocking stuffer. And you put it on your tongue for like a second, and then you lift it away, and then it leaves an impression of a character. And she had R2-D2 today. It worked really well. So thank you, everybody. I appreciate you tuning in. I love you and appreciate you. At this point, however, I'm going to leave you to your own devices. May the Force be with you.